Hey, Tom.
What's up, dude? How's it going?
What's up, dude? What are we doing today?
Just getting ready for the MetaCast. This is the MetaCast.
Oh, shit.
The MetaCast, which is the season 1 finale podcast. It is for us to look at season 1, look at all the highs, the lows, the things that we enjoyed, the things that we learned, and then look at season 2 and what's upcoming. Before we do that, though, let's look at the set.
I agree. So we're super excited for season 2, guys. But first of all, we've got the Homie and the Dude set, all kind of holiday seasony. For you guys who want to see behind the scenes, this is where we run the stream from, and we have our notes and like water back here on this thing, and we have some cables down here and whatnot. Then we have these two wonderful lights that are nice and bright, and then our tripod stand. This is actually in our lounge. So yeah, guys, that is the Homie and the Dude set. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm just going to lock us in to the tripod. We get the show started. When we started, it was literally on a Zoom call. So I think our first 4 podcasts were virtual, with both of us were virtual as well. We were in different locations, and then we thought, you know what, we need to get this so that we have one location. So we used this part of our house basically, which actually turned out to be a nice, perfect space. Started figuring out lights and then figuring out the whole tech setup, which was a challenge for sure. But here we are. We've got it to this stage. We're pretty happy with it. We picked up these lights about halfway through season 1, and that was a big thing for us as well. Bodhi just turned on the halo light, which also I guess helps to minimize shadows. That's the intent. Other than that, it's been pretty fun figuring shit out. It has been figuring shit out as well. Yeah. There's been some technical moments where we've been like, there's been some moments where it's just been like touch and go, where we've had a podcast guest literally waiting to go live, and we've been trying to figure stuff out. We've messed the tech up where we've got like some kind of shit show going. How many times have we had audio issues right before the show? Like everything's been working fine, and then the moment that the show starts, or the moment that we're about to go live, we start having audio issues. And then how many times have we had stream issues as well? Yeah. Not to mention, obviously, lateness and whatnot, but obviously that comes with time difference and whatnot that we're constantly encountering because we're in the UK, and a lot of our guests are happen to be in other places in the world. We've had people in Switzerland, we've got Americans on, we've had people all over the place. Yeah. So also, there's been moments where, like during the live stream, dude, there's been some firefighting that have been ridiculous. Like literally, actually live streaming. Oh. 100%. And then losing the feed for a moment, and then anyway. Especially during front row lives. Exactly, that's what I mean. Yeah, front row lives are definitely ropier because we're online for 6 hours, which is just a bit more of an extreme kind of stream rather than just a couple hours of content for a podcast. Is this the Christmas? So we'll call it the holiday special. Oh yeah, let's call it the holiday special. The holiday special. Even though, and these are holiday hats, not Christmas hats. Yeah, these are holiday hats. So no, yeah, we've had a pretty interesting season. It's been a pretty amazing arc. We came from, doing this on Zoom with just webcams to now having a set, having, amazing guests on, having a schedule, and running it like a business. We've made our first bit of money off of the show. We're really starting to run a business at this point, and learning how to manage this new entity that we're both kind of juggling in our lives. Got a sponsor, V-Stock Kitchen. Yeah, for those of you that need. Shout out to V-Stock Kitchen. Vegan food in Bristol. They do amazing vegan food for sure. It's been a weird one for me. I've very much enjoyed the process, but there's definitely been, all the time I come down and I'm like, God damn it, I don't want to do the podcast today. I'm like, I just don't want to. I don't know why. But then when you get into it, it feels great, and you just love it, and it's just such a fun process and awesome. I think it's a bit of stage fright, maybe. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like for this part of it. Especially when we have a guest, actually doing it just you and I is probably a little bit more anxiety for me. But when we have guests, I just feel like we're just having a conversation, and that's usually what we prompt guests. We just say like, it's going to be conversational, guys. But and the front row lives, I feel like have been
just kind of enjoying the fights and just calling them like we see them. So there's not a lot of prep to do with that.
I think that the funny part for me about Front Row Lives is because Front Row Lives are our most viewed live streams at the moment. So Front Row Live is a MMA show that we do during UFC fights, where we do live commentary. We do play-by-play and color commentary from us while the fights are going on, so that you can watch along with us and get a feel for what's going on. It's been really interesting because during those times we've been so relaxed and enjoying ourselves, but also because they're our most watched one, we get really excited and we get really like on the edge of our seats and like want to like do stuff for you guys and make sure it's a really good show and be on our best form. So the more people we see coming in, I think the less relaxed you and I both become, because we know that the numbers are going up and that we want to like make it really good for people. Especially
from like, we didn't know how Front Row Lives would go. So I remember it was the Adesanya versus Paulo Costa fight. We had, I don't know, it was less than 100 people on it, but we were jacked. We were like, there's actually people on here with us, and we were like, it was super, super exciting. Like, and people interacting, and
people were so nice as well. We had loads of people, you know, just complimenting us on our commentary and what we're doing and appreciating that we're putting on the show and things like that. And that's like a really gratifying thing and we put in a lot of work, you know, behind the scenes. There's a lot of, you know, making promotional images, you know, making advertisements, posting stuff, when it's to do with the podcast, inviting guests, all that kind of stuff. If it's Front Row Live, it's making sure we've got the card paid for, it's making sure that we've got the evening sorted for us, the time booked out of our lives to do all that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of work behind it, and not to mention just the social media networking that we have to just constantly be doing and keeping up to date with. It's to do a Front Row Live is a lot of fun, but it definitely comes with a massive physical depletion from both of us, both after the show, but also leading up to it. We both put in a lot of work on that week.
Not to mention, it's 6 hours.
Yeah,
it's exactly. 6 hours of being live on an entire card. So the prelims, through the main card, and out the other end. So a couple things about that. So one is, so our first, official Front Row Live with live streaming guests coming in was the Adesanya Costa. The next one was the one that actually blew our minds, where we had the Khabib Gaethje fight, and that one we touched. I don't know. We were like at one point interacting with literally people all over the world.
We had 1,000 people.
We had 1,000 people on the call, and that was pretty
ridiculous.
Sick. That was sick. Yeah.
It was amazing to go, guys, let us know where you're from, and to have like at least 40 different countries entered into the chat and seeing people from all over the world just there and enjoying. And I always like to do this whenever we do a Front Row Live. I always take a moment at some point during the Front Row Live to be like, guys, how awesome is it that irregardless of what our beliefs are, our religion, our culture, our location, our time zone, we're all sat enjoying this together in a really unifying way. And I think that's really beautiful. I think the fact that we can provide that for people and also be a part of it, because you and me love fighting, but I mean, we also love hanging out with people, and to be able to watch fighting with people who enjoy it and want to hang out with us as well is pretty special. It's a pretty amazing feeling, I would say.
Yeah, it's super cool. But also, as the numbers are going up, the first few times we've done this, it's almost been like a like what the, like, how do we do this? Like, let's keep people happy, let's keep people excited, let's do the play-by-play, let's do color commentary. I mean, it's like, at first it was a learning curve, dude. I mean, it still is kind of like, and also you and me, dude, like, this is another thing like that we probably want to talk about. It's just our interaction. It's different. Like, the learning curve on the Front Row Lives is different than the learning curve on the podcast, because Front Row Live is a little bit more plate spinning. You are literally managing the comment stream. You're managing the tech in a different way. Like with podcasts, we hit go and then we're just interacting with the guest. So a lot of times we're just kind of balancing play-by-play, color commentary, interacting with the guest. So that's all been kind of a learning experience for us. But the other the highlight, or whatever the memorable moment is, I've had at least once, and I think twice, and I know you've had at least once, where we have these mics, and on a 6-hour live cast, we have to plug them in because they'll run out of battery. And there's been so at least once or twice for me that I've literally gotten up to go to the bathroom and almost ripped the set down.
Yeah, same. Yeah, we do it pretty frequently at this point, where one of us has either headphones on or a mic in, or something like that, or we trip over one of the cables in the middle here, and things just get pulled, and we're like grabbing things to save them. It's the classic rookie setup. I was watching some of Corridor Digital recently, and one of the main guys on there, who is one of the founders, was like, we have batteries for our cameras and batteries for our lights, because I do not fucking do wires. And I was like, that's the next step of learning curve for us, is how to make this a wireless, like, interactive set, basically. But for the moment, it definitely does us. So you said that's one of your highlights.
That's one of my highlights
of the entire first year is the possible set rip downs that we've encountered multiple times.
I mean, it's one of the funnier moments, and then also that moment where we had 1,000 people on the call. It was Khabib, who is as recognized as one of the, if not the biggest, possibly sports celebrity in the world at this point, but like right up there, and just having people from all over the world, like lots of representation just everywhere, and it was awesome. And everyone was there just chilling, enjoying the fights, having fun, shouting stuff out. That was really cool. So that was definitely one of my highlights. I'll tell you what, let's alternate, because I've got a couple.
Okay. The highlights of the year, I would say, was meeting William Spencer. He's been one of my, I guess, like, not heroes, but like someone who I've looked up to within skateboarding since I was really young. I found his videos when we were still living in Spain. Like, I was very young when I first found his videos, and have enjoyed watching him, and have followed him on social media, and have almost been inspired by some of his work in especially just doing my own style and being my own person within skating, and fuck the rest, do my own thing kind of thing. And so to be able to have him on the show, and to be able to talk to him and spend time with him, and chat before and after the show as well, and since then I've messaged him and we've interacted, and it's just an amazing feeling to know that he's such an awesome person, to have spent some time understanding him and listening to him, and pulling some questions from him, and I think there's very few people in their life that get to interact with people that they admire in the way that you and I do. And for example, Russell Powell is another one that I followed for like 8 to 5 years at this point on Instagram. This guy's literally been doing his stuff, and I've been following him for a very long time. I've enjoyed his art for a very long time. So to have him on the show is another big moment for me, where we have someone that I've from afar admired and enjoyed and respected. Have them be a peer is pretty gnarly. It feels pretty incredible, in my opinion. And I would say there's very, very few people on the planet that get to do something like that. And I think this platform of podcasting has allowed us to do that. And I think, as much as it's of our own creation, we're very lucky to have created something that allows us to meet amazing people. Now, I will go on to say that we've had some rough interactions with guests in terms of inviting certain people on the show, and having some either like negative backlash, or some like sarcastic responses, or even just being ghosted as a whole and not being responded to. But I would say, for the most part, we've had incredible people respond to us, converse with us, spend time with us, and give us, a very small podcast, the light of day. People who have thousands and thousands of people admiring them came to just spend a couple hours with us, which is incredible. Not to mention, we've had some of the highest achievers in the world. We've had Olympians and Commonwealth Games champions, and incredibly prolific people as well, which again is an honorable thing, in my opinion. It's super honorable that we got to, it's honorable in that I feel honored to speak to them, and I feel very lucky to do so. So my highlight would maybe be the magnitude of guests that we've had on so far, but specifically, I was going to say predominantly, specifically William Spencer, because he pertains to me and my life journey so far.
I mean, like, dude, at that moment when I sent you an email, it was like a message, or a messenger.
It was
message.
late at night.
It was late at night.
Sure.
I was just like, William's in, and you're like, stop fucking with me. Like seriously, stop fucking with me.
Yeah, like I got shit to do tomorrow. Like I don't have time for you to play these games with my emotions.
But it was representative of like there's different levels of I don't know if you want to call them attainments as you go through this. And when you start, let's just call it what it is. Very few people are watching you, and and still we have a pretty small but loyal following. But it's still pretty small. But it was way smaller when we started, and and then you have just like these little these little boosts to keep you going, right? And that one, when William said yes, was the biggest boost that we had, and that was like probably 3 months in.
It was feeling trudgy at that point. I would go as far to say as you and me were starting to feel, and for people who don't know what I mean by trudgy, I mean like imagine you're in thick mud and you're like dragging your legs, and it's like and it's just an effort to walk. It felt like we'd been doing 3 months of really hard work, and we were working some stuff out, but it didn't feel like we'd been given much kind of payout for the work that we'd put in. I'd say getting William booked on the show really gave us a big lease of life, and again, almost one of those moments of like, that's why we're doing this. Like it makes, like I remember why we're doing this. It's because the passion and the love for who we have on and what we do is there. But it's one of those things, guys, where you've got to balance, that grind versus like the fun bits. And don't get me wrong, you've got to enjoy all the small bits. I think we're so much better at that now. Like we enjoy a really good thumbnail that you make, rather than being like, it's a thumbnail and the guests are important. We're like, oh shit, that was a sick thumbnail. Like you fucking killed that. Like high five, kind of thing, and we move on. But it's something that we, in the moment are like, awesome. And I think we do that with a lot more stuff now, where we manage that and we go, hey, this is something I've done, and we're like, sick, that's great. Like whether it be us solving something live, working something out, learning a new software, whatever it is that we do, we take the little wins, I feel like, a lot more now than we did at the beginning, which is, I think definitely made the last like 3 months easier than the first 3 months, I would say.
For sure. And I think to your point, so I think William was important for a couple of reasons. I think it was just like on a personal level, he was important. I don't want to dwell on it too much, but to your point earlier of like, we've had some interactions, like it's been tough to get guests, because I think ultimately guests look at this as almost like a transactional thing. Like, okay, if I'm going to spend 2 hours on your podcast, what do I get out of it in return? And I get that. Like, and so they start looking at things like, okay, well, what's my level of, I don't know, followers or subscribers versus yours? And how can, is your audience going to help my audience? That type of thing. His impact was manifold. The other was that he has a significant following, so that we could leverage that with future conversations and other guests, and say like, there's homies that have as much or more following as you, or in that sort of level. So that really opened us up to a whole new level of guests that have been great, and I feel like more to come in that area, right?
That's 100%. And we'll definitely bring up new guests in the podcast going into season 2.
Into season 2. I got another highlight.
Go for it.
My sort of moment maybe I have 2. I was going to say my moment in podcasting between you and I was, for some reason, I just got some serious feels when we talked about Habib's dad, and giving him a real sort of moment of recognition and all of that. That was because you and I are father and son, and he had just lost his dad, and there was something.
And we respect Habib a lot as well. Like we appreciate him as a sports person, and so it's one of those classic ones where David Bowie dies and someone's crying, and you're like, why are you crying? It's David Bowie.
It's true.
And you're like, I appreciate. He's one of the greatest musicians ever, and his music is legendary, and I love listening to his music. But also, I don't know David Bowie.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those ones where when it happens to something that you really do give a fuck about, and it hits you, you're like, oh, now I see why they were crying about David Bowie. You're like, oh, it makes sense all of a sudden, because that sucks for me. I'm bummed for them, and it's relatable enough situation that we felt bummed for them in that kind of instance.
Yeah, so that was I think a moment while we were sort of just you and I podcasting, but another moment that was probably as fun or as goofy was when we set up a contraption for us to do the walking podcast around the Bristol Harbor. So basically we had a tripod, we turned it horizontal, and we somehow Jimmy rigged the camera, so a DSLR, to be facing us this way, but the tripod is heavy with a DSLR, so somehow we rigged it so each of us had one leg of the tripod buried into like just below our hip bone, and we were like walking in sort of synchronized steps.
And holding one arm each. It was almost like it was like a two-man extended selfie stick was kind of the rig there.
It's fucking ridiculous.
And this is the funny thing is we were like, let's do a walking podcast. And you showed up on the day and you were like, cool, Bodes, how are we going to do it? And I was like, fuck. I was like, that's a really good point. And then we literally spent like 20 minutes just coming up with something before we started. And it was, don't get me wrong, it actually worked really well. If you watch the first walking podcast that we did back, the stabilization isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think it actually ended up a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
It was the poor man's Spike Lee's dolly cam shot.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it looks like. But do you know what? I wouldn't be bummed filming it like that again, honestly. I think it gave a really interesting vibe that was really kind of cool and funky, and I did really enjoy it. Maybe a bit more like movement from you and me, like freedom and movement with the camera. But it was really fun. I did really actually enjoy filming that. And I would say maybe we'll try and get some more walking podcasts when we do just do podcasts, you and me, in season 2. Maybe we'll try and get some more walking ones. And the only reason I must admit that we have kind of slowed down on the walking ones to the point that we've only done 2 is because the weather in the UK is fucking terrible.
And also there's been restrictions of just
of course, lockdown as well.
So it's a bit complicated. But we have a little bit better tech that, I mean, we could go back to it just for old time's sake and do the Frankenstein walk.
Yeah.
If we wanted to.
Exactly. But now, yeah, we've got other options.
We've got other options, yeah.
Yeah.
So those were basically my highlights. Yeah. As far as like things that we learned along the way, lots. Like we started 6 months ago, and
our thumbnails were terrible.
Yeah.
Our editing was whack. Our live streams were terrible.
And dude, our vibe, like that's the reason why we went from 2 Zoom calls or 2 Zoom locations to coming here, because it's hard. It's super hard for us to have an interaction that feels, it feels like
succinct.
It's succinct, yeah, also with a guest. So this just works a lot better. But even here has been a learning process.
Oh.
Like us knowing, just kind of getting a feel for interacting with guests, knowing...
Explain the system that we have for talking over each other.
Yeah, so basically we have a concept that we call balanced airtime. And balanced airtime simply means that we like to balance the airtime between our guests and ourselves, because we think if our guests are talking for the whole time, it might be interesting to some people, but some people are here to hear an interaction. Some people are here to actually see us, believe it or not.
Very few. Yeah. There's one person each show, and we actually know them.
So we like to balance it. We like to have a little bit of back and forth. In order to do that, some guests that are high volume speakers, let's call them, we need to interject and sort of take a little bit of that airtime back. Some guests that are low volume speakers, we need to sort of do a bit of a song and dance to kind of make sure that it's all feeling very flowy.
Provide them with open questions, keep them conversing, it's the art of conversation.
Yeah. But as far as between you and I, we literally have a signaling system that we have behind this thing that's basically like, yo, you got this one, or I'll take this one, that type of thing. And also just kind of a managing of how the time is going. Do we feel like it's winding down? Do I have a question? That type of thing. It's all, it's like we're third base coaches where, we're kind of doing signals, but it's all like right here.
I was going to say, we use, as much as these boxes are great to like stack the laptop on, we house a lot of wires back here on when we're filming at the moment, we're not live and stuff, so there's less wires and stuff, but we house a lot of wires back here. I have like my glasses, we have like paracetamol if we're getting a headache halfway through the show. We got notes. And we also do our signaling back here. So one of us will gesture to let the other one know that, we want to dive in with a question or we want to say something, so that we can provide the best conversation for you guys. Now, whether any of you have noticed that or not is another matter, but that is how we do it, just so you guys get an idea. Because it isn't, don't get me wrong, it is like very natural for us to talk back and forth like we do, because we are father and son. We've been doing it for years. But the honest truth is, we also both enjoy the sound of our own voices a little bit, and we also both want to like say some shit. So,
and it's also time dependent. Like if I have an idea, I want to get it out before I lose it or before the conversation moves on to something else.
100%. Right? So you want to be able to get in and say your bit, which is why we do our like, hey, I'm next. Like, fuck off for 1 second. Let me let me dive in. And I think it definitely works. And I'm sure you guys will have noticed if you go back and watch the Ella Joy podcast, the original Daniel Ingram podcast, the Jay Marriott podcast, the Lauren Cooper podcast. We're very much anything in the top 10, in the original 10 actually. You can see how much more, I guess, rustic and rough around the edges we are compared to now. Now, are we a polished, shiny, spherical thing of beauty? No, we're not. We're still a weird, like odd-shaped such and such. That's,
mutant creature that's trying to like do things that are,
And we're still learning, so it's definitely an evolving process, but man, the difference back then compared to now is spectacular.
Also just like being a little bit more relaxed with this, and also being more relaxed with guests. So even though the guest profile has sort of increased as we've gone, we actually drew from a lot of people in our own network originally for the first, say, 10 guests, and now we're reaching out of our network. We're up to episode 31. So, but even with the fact that we've got effectively strangers that are dropping on the call, 2 minutes, 5 minutes before we go live, it feels with repetitions it gets easier.
Yeah.
It's just more, there's less anxiety, less fear.
I was gonna say, I think now the only time we really get anxiety is if it's someone that we're like apprehensive to meet, someone who we're like, oh my goodness, this person, like, oh, Russell Powell, we've both loved his hand stamping art for ages, kind of thing, and we get a bit flustered then. But otherwise, we're pretty dead on. Like if it's someone who we've selected because we think they're really creative, or they're really awesome, or they'd have a great story to tell, or we think they're like whatever they're into. For example, like Bodhi Harrison one-wheeling. Neither of us one-wheel. I skateboard. I guess it's kind of similar, but we don't one-wheel. We don't understand electronic skateboards. We're not engineers. We have very little to do with that world, but we very much enjoyed talking to him and brought him on because of who he is, what the community says about him, what he brings to the table, and his life story is super interesting. So I think depending on who we have on, we're less nervous and more nervous for certain people, but I wouldn't say that means that they're not better or worse guests, or that we're more excited or less excited for them. It's just that some people we know, and some people we've like spent time, and like shit, if we had Kanye on, I would probably be in fits of nerves, or like if we had, a big UFC fighter on, we'd probably both be nervous. But I think the honest truth is, like you said, the more you do it, the less nervous you are. So at this point, we don't really get super nervous. Like even when they are showing up like minutes before we start, Tom handles the kind of interacting with them while I'm setting everything up for the stream, and it works really well. We've got a system that is pretty much on lock when it comes down to it. I'll ask one final question before we kind of move on to what's coming for season 2. Is there been any down moments, any moments that you have struggled with, any moments within the workload, within actually like during a podcast, anything that you've been like bummed about during the process? Any cons? Go for it.
One is just like logistics in the background of like scheduling stuff. So I have messed up time zone stuff, just scheduling people a couple times, and that has ripple effects. So if I'm like, okay, well it's 5 o'clock UK time here, so that's 9 a.m. in the US in Pacific Standard Time. Oh fuck, Arizona has 2 time zones, so it's not Pacific, it's mountain. So that has had implications that I really like, because it has ripple effects on our families. You know, we've got and on our. Do we want to pass that crap on to our guests? No, we're going to have to eat that as a balls up on our end. So that has been personally tough for me. The other thing, just a little thing, is like we had Jeff Stevens on, who's an awesome skater as well. He told us the name of his daughter when we started, and then like literally 5 minutes into the podcast. Her name's Avery. I know her name now. Not only did I get her not know her name, I referred to her as a little boy. So that was
just minor fuck ups.
But I mean, like, you want to get that shit right. But nothing really like that's gotten me down more than, you know, that moment. I've just kind of moved on from that. Yeah.
I guess for me, my bigger thing has been us wanting to do so much, and because it's just the two of us, being restricted in how much time we can put towards this bums me out regularly, in that I know we have so many great ideas and so many things that we could bring to you guys, and that we do now currently have slotted in the calendar to be released to you guys. But, you know, one to two of those projects are at least a year long of work if it's just the two of us, you know. So some of these are pipe dreams that me and Tom are, you know, having to work on because there's just two of us, and it means that we have to put it back and back and back because we're doing things that like are pertinent, things like the podcast that week, scheduling a guest, promoting a front row live, you know, whatever it may be. And so that is that's the kind of thing that gets me down, is the inhibiting of our creativity that I know we have due to lack of funding, supply, work, workforce, all that kind of stuff. So that would be one. The other thing for me would maybe be, again, just to do with the work and stuff, is I currently am not working a actual job, in the sense that I am doing this full time, and just the implications that come with chasing something that is fully passion driven, chasing a creative venture, and what people think and feel about that, whether it be very close family, relatives, friends, you know, partners, whatever it may be. You don't want to let anyone down, and you want to work hard, and you want to make sure that, you know, they know that you are doing stuff, and that this is something that you're chasing, and that it's not just a fuck around. So a big part of my stress has been making sure that I'm actually constantly working, so that I'm not in a place where people can go, ha, you weren't working, you know, you're lazy, you're not doing this. It's like, I literally at this point, if I'm not doing Homie and the Dude stuff, I'm literally cleaning this apartment, like from top to bottom, and trying to do that kind of stuff. But otherwise, you know, I get 20 minutes to myself a day, you know, kind of thing of free time. So it's convincing people that a passion project is a job, even though financially it hasn't reaped the benefits of the amount of time that I've currently put into it. But that's yet to come. We've already had some sort of monetary movement, and we're looking to keep that moving into season 2. And you guys can be a part of that. We actually have a new way for you guys to donate to us, so that link will be available probably in the description of this video, but also on all of our social medias in the link tree that we have. There'll be a little place where you can donate, and even if it's just like 1 unit of whatever your currency is, that makes a huge difference to us. Sure. So feel free to donate. The other way to help us out is, you know, keep subscribing, sharing our stuff out, all that kind of thing. Go on, continue.
No, I think, yeah, to your point about just so much to do and just me and you, one of the things that I would offer this up is for anyone else that's wanting or considering doing podcasting or anything else that's creative online, is really being ruthless about focusing on what's important to you. And because you can't do it all. So we are continually saying, like, okay, how important is that bit? How important is this? Are we getting the return on this time that we're spending?
To the point where during the week, when we are doing something, we will go, cool, we're doing this on Thursday. You will come over on Thursday, and we will go, we're not doing that anymore, because actually it's not a good use of our time. We need to like alter that, and like our schedule is so constantly changing because of us trying to be on it with maximizing our time and efficiency, that you and I move, not the schedule, not as in we move when guests are and things like that, but as in we have a work schedule, as in the days when we're not podcasting, it's like, cool, what are we doing on those days for either the week coming, the weeks coming, for finishing editing that week's podcast, whatever the fuck it might be that we are doing that week. It's booking an hour work schedule around that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So that would be my down. That would be my only down. But interestingly, guys, on both of those things, Tom fucking up during the live shows and me feeling like the stress of chasing a passion project, both of those can be solved with hard work, practice, and just consistency. The more we're consistent, the less you're gonna fuck up. The more we're consistent.
Dude, it's not that bad.
No, it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. Just to the pretense of what you said, but. And for me, it just means that the more we do this, the consistently we do this, the more of a portfolio we have, the more we do start making money off of it at some point, and the more I can go to people, hey, I'm legitimized as someone who's doing this now. It's not just I'm chasing something, or even whether you think that or not, if you think it's just Bodhi's, trying something, but whether he succeeds or not. The answer is I will succeed, and the answer is I'm already succeeding.
Yeah.
Like, it's just now, it's validated even more by money in your opinion, not always mine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think by just practicing, keeping consistent, and evolving and working hard, we will both be able to work and limit those negatives, I think, which is a good way to look at it.
For sure. And to your point about we're already succeeding, like the last thing I'll say about what I've really enjoyed about this, and like the most important thing is just you and me hanging out.
It's been fun.
It's been like more than fun. It's been super, super special that we have found a way to enjoy each other, to respect each other, to learn from each other, to like
phrasing. But no, I agree. Like, I would say, like, for people who don't know, pre this year, me and Tom have never spent this much time together in a year. The answer is we've lived together for my entire life, but we have never spent this much physical time in a space together, whether it be, making the podcast, working on the thumbnails, editing something, even if it is just and we do brainstorm sessions regularly where Tom will come around and we will spend 3-4 hours discussing our plan for the next couple of weeks, working on what we're doing. And we have some stuff going on in the background that we'll talk about in a minute. That's kind of working towards season 2 that we've been doing, and all of that is, what we're kind of, talking about is all that time we spent together. We've never really done that, which has been pretty fucking sick. It's been amazing that we've got that amount of time.
And I have to say,
had this amount of time together.
For sure. And like, to me, it's like all that time you can bank. Grab it, just keep grabbing it, put it in the bank. Those are memories, those are good times that, there's not enough of that. There's never enough of that. So definitely looking forward to more of that. I think, season 2.
Season 2. So guys, season 2 is a big one. We're stepping up our game big time here at Homie and the Dude. Our production value is going to take a big leap forward in season 2. The podcasts should be in a new kind of format for you guys, in that the screen will be a lot more entertaining. We will have things that will inform you about who's what and what's what when we're live streaming. Front row lives. With podcasts, we're going to have bigger and better guests. One of the big things that we're pushing for this season is bigger, better guests. We're shooting for bigger fish, guys. So hopefully you'll have some massive people on the show, some people that you guys are really interested to see, people that we are really excited to talk to, and that's going to be a big one. Why don't you tell us about Front Row Live?
No, well, let me just build on that. I mean, that's not to in any way like lessen the amazing guests that we've had, because we wouldn't have been able to get here to this point, especially like early days. Like, I don't even know what those guests like had to gain from being on it, except for just helping us out. So like, our guests till now have been fucking amazing, and we can't get to to season 2 without season 1's guests. So that has been
by bigger, I mean maybe more widely known. We'll go with that. Some of our guests have been smaller time, but actually a few of them have been really big. So it'd be nice to keep up the role of having some of those big hitters on here, so that you guys can keep getting some people that you're really excited to see.
But I reckon, like, no matter how, like, you know, how many whatever seasons we go on, we'll always look fondly back on, like, the first guest that just sort of, like,
100%.
Took a chance on us without really getting it, needing, like, there was nothing for them to really gain except for, like, maybe just being a friend, or maybe having a bit of exposure on their own socials that they could somehow see from being on ours, or maybe just practicing being on a podcast without any impact. So super grateful to our guests. But yeah, so moving on.
So echoing that, echoing what Tom just said about the guests, but also, yeah, guys, so for podcasts, it's slicker, better content / distribution, and larger, possibly more known guests.
Yeah, guests that have a bigger social presence, let's say. That's kind of the hope, so that you then have I'm not going to say they're going to be more interesting, because we have super interesting guests, but they're going to be more, hopefully, just recognizable.
And hopefully they'll bring more of their audience to Homie and the Dude, and we can expand La Familia so that we actually all grow as a big unit, and have more people that are interested in all the same stuff, and keep watching and coming back for the interesting stuff that we do put on. But go for it, Front Row Live next.
Yeah, so Front Row Lives are basically us running a live stream based around an event, and we're providing the play-by-play and the color commentary while that event is going on. We'll usually purchase the event, and we'll be talking through it for those of you that are on, and enjoying sort of our experience of the event. So there'll be more of that. We're gonna, to Bodhi's point, the presentation, the production value of that is gonna go up. It's already started. Like the last one, we dabbled with some stuff like real-time donations, real-time graphics about things like new subscribers or new followers, or that type of thing. That is just gonna continue to lift. Our learning curve is pretty steep right now for that, but we're getting a handle now on some new software that feels like it's a
going to
game
take
changer.
us to the next level.
Yeah, for sure. So really looking forward to Front Row Lives. Basically, they're around UFC pay-per-views. That's our main go-to. But anything else that's worth us saying, you know what, let's go for that, because we think an audience wants to sort of be part of that experience with us. It might not be a pay-per-view, might be another type of fight. We've done the Mike Tyson fight recently with Roy Jones Jr. We've done MMA fights that haven't been pay-per-views that we just think, you know what, that's a really good one that I think people would like. So more of that to come, but we're lifting that up. We're also now going to add a post-fight analysis to the end of the event. So let's say it's a UFC card. There's the prelims, there's a main card, then there's the main events. So we'll do all the play-by-play and the color commentary for that. And then after that, what we're thinking of is we're going to go live wherever, whether it's on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, and just give a sort of a retrospective debrief on what we saw for those of you that have been on that night with us, but also for those people that are just sort of jumping in and just seeing what the hell happened. UFC 255, what the hell happened? And, that post-fight analysis will be there for them as well. So that's cool.
So to summarize, again, slicker, better quality for Front Row Live, and there will now be a new post-fight analysis show that we'll be doing at the end of the Front Row Live. So after 6 hours of streaming, we're going to give you another chunk of streaming, guys, because we love you that fucking much. That's what's up.
But also, there'll be some donations and like all kinds of just interactive things that we can just spend time with our audience with. That's really cool.
If you love MMA, that is definitely, if you love martial arts, that's definitely the show for you. Next is something that we've been working on in the background, guys, and I'm super excited to bring this to you guys. Me and Tom are both super hyped to inform you about this. In the background, we have been working on learning and understanding and playing a tabletop game, basically, a tabletop game, and that would be Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. So what we will be bringing you in Season 2 will be a Dungeons and Dragon live stream. It will start off on Facebook, but we are looking to transition to Twitch It will be a mixture of homebrew content as well as also some pre-written adventures and things like that trickled in and put throughout, just as filler and stuff like that. If we're in between writing sessions for the homebrew, but. So you know, we've been working on this for the last couple months. We've been running our first campaign now for maybe 2 months. I am the Dungeon Master. However, Tom will be my co-Dungeon Master when we do bring you the live stream series.
Junior Dungeon Master.
The Junior Dungeon Master.
Apprentice.
And the Dungeon Master's Apprentice. And we're really excited to bring you guys that. It's going to be a really fun thing where we're going to have a great group of people on, and hopefully we're going to create a legendary story in the best storytelling method that has ever existed, from what we've found from D&D. So guys, please keep your eyes peeled for when we start releasing those and doing that. As well as that, we're looking to build on the whole D&D train as a whole, and we'll be bringing some homebrewed content for you guys to be able to either purchase through like a Patreon at some point, or download through a website that we're going to be looking into creating as well, guys. So that will all be coming in season 2, and we are so hyped for doing that, guys. It is such an amazing expression of storytelling and such a great way to interact with you fans as well, because we're also going to give you guys opportunities to help us create, maybe pitch in some ideas and stuff like that for the homebrew. So keep your eyes peeled. If you love gaming, if you love television, if you love great fantasy stories, if you love acting, if you love improv, if you love silly voices, if you love comedy and people laughing, if you like the most descriptive combat you've ever heard, then Homie and the Dude D&D is going to be for you.
Super looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. That's just been a really fun experience. It's been a huge learning curve, certainly for me, because I've never played D&D before. It's just sort of been in the background of my awareness, and it is about as cool and as layered a game as I think I've ever experienced. So yeah, that's going to be awesome.
That's going to be great.
Got some people that are going to be joining us that we're really excited about as well. So that's a big one coming up.
Yeah, we're super hyped on that. And then finally,
we've got some comedy skits that we have been working on for a while, and we're going to drip those out throughout the year. So we'll probably launch or release one of those sometime in Q1, probably early Q1, and it's based around a character that we've developed. That this character is interacting with the world in different aspects. So it's been fun. It's been a hugely creative experience for us to do it. We have a catalog of about 4 of those comedy skits, and we'll be releasing those to you.
We've got a couple more.
Do we?
Yeah, I think we've got like, I want to say maybe 6 or 7.
6 or 7. Okay.
I was gonna say if we
we'll have to discuss which of those we're going to release.
Exactly. But we've got a nice catalog of comedy shorts for you guys based off of a character that me and Tom have written and created for you guys, and we're super excited to release those to you guys. It's going to be a fun one, and hopefully there'll be nice little like milestones throughout the year to give you guys a bit of a comedy relief while we're all going through this crazy pandemic time. So just to conclude for season 2, guys, that's going to be new and improved podcasts with bigger and better guests. That's going to be front row lives that are slicker, cleaner, and there's going to be a post-fight analysis show. There's going to be new tabletop D&D content, so Homie and the Dude D&D homebrew. As well as that, we will be doing some comedy skits for you guys. So season 2 is jam-packed with creativity, jam-packed with fun, and guys, this has been season 1 of Homie and the Dude. And guys, hit us with the Holy Trinity for just the last time, guys, of season 1. Like and follow on Facebook, subscribe on fucking YouTube, and share at least one of our podcasts on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Reddit, Yahtzee, Yahoo, Bing, whatever you want, wherever you want to share it, guys.
Netscape.
Yeah, Ask Jeeves. Wherever you want to share it, guys, please do. Let other people find us. If you love what we do, let some other people find us and love what we do as well. Guys, It's been the most amazing year. We cannot tell you how much we have enjoyed doing this podcast for you guys. It's been a pleasure. One last time for Homie and the Dude. I reckon walk off outro.
Well, just drop mic. Let's not drop the mics because they cost a little bit. But
walk off outro. Guys,
okay.
This has been Homie and the Dude.
All right,
Season 1.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Later, guys.
All right. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
Thank you all for watching this last episode of Homie and the Dude for Season 1. We really appreciate every single person that's joined us for this first year of this journey. And we look forward to having you all for Season 2 as well, where there'll be lots of new content to come. Guys, hit us with the Holy Trinity, like and follow on Facebook, subscribe on YouTube, and share one of our podcasts on any sort of social media. Other than that, have a lovely holidays and a happy new year. See you for Season 2. Bye.